Truth is, I thought it mattered. I thought that
money
mattered. But does it bollocks? Not compared to how people matter.
Welcome, Mention and other fine folks, to the Someday Dispatch of the Black Letter, where we contemplate thoughts worth thinking. So today we're going to focus again a little bit on the economy, on the stock market of cryptocurrencies, and where things are at, what we can do, or at least what I'm thinking about doing, trying to make sense of all the silliness that is ongoing at the moment. So this first article here is about Warren Buffett. Everyone thinks they're Warren Buffett just before the stock market bubble pops. And of course, the Oracle of Omaha is getting a lot of flack lately for being old man, out of touch with the stock markets, not being able to make money anymore. And you're seeing people really diss him and disrespect him quite a lot, which I think is quite humorous. I don't think Buffett particularly cares. But I tell you, the braggadocios and the bragging of all these people is something astonishing. I watched a documentary last night on Neil Armstrong. I think it was called Armstrong. I'm not sure. But now there was a quietly confident yet humble man who didn't let all his success swell his head into the stratosphere. I think we need more of that nowadays. I think Warren Buffett is like that too. Somebody who is perhaps quietly confident and yet humble enough to recognize that he doesn't know everything and just doing the best. And this has made him arguably one of the best, if not the greatest investor of all time. But here we have braggarts going on about dissing Buffett and others as if they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. There's a guy here, Dave Portnoy, who I'd never heard of before. I guess he made some money on a sports betting website or something. Dave Portnoy and day traders are playing checkers while Warren Buffett is playing chess. When the bubble bursts, they'll respect the Oracle. Some of them will get lucky, be able to get out at a good price, make some good money. But this certainly is reminding me of the dot-com bubble, which I was aware of at the time. And no doubt this is also was fairly common with the 1929 through 1933 stock market crash and exuberance that we had there. The millionaire internet celebrity gloated over airline stocks gains on Tuesday, but a gut check correction to stock prices, poor decision making by an amateur day trader, or even just bad luck could cancel his gains. You know what I find funny? The people on the internet who are debating who the better investor is right now. Myself or Warren Buffett. It's no debate. It's no debate. I killed him. He's dead. You know, this arrogance is just astonishing. Some people think, you get lucky for a few days, several weeks even, and now you're the greatest investor of all time. It's hilarious. You have to laugh at this self-indulgent internet dude. Tell you what, though, I'll bet on Warren Buffett any day of the week over any internet celebrity. That's for sure. Yeah, apparently he sold Barstool Sports for $450 million, and now he thinks he's a genius. And another thing here, he made a viral video going ballistic at suggestions that lockdown should remain in place until a virus cure is found. Yeah, we're all on board with that until someone you love comes down with it and dies, right? Just soaking that euphoria. Do you feel that woo-woo energy? That's a sign of an equities bubble right there. Every day trader feels like a genius when the stock market gets this glutted. There's nobody's going to argue that Warren Buffett is better at the stock market than I am right now. I will. Warren Buffett's way better. Warren Buffett knows what's going on. You just think this is a gambling machine, and you may be making some money, but those chickens are going to come home to roost. Unbelievable. All I do is make money. Literally the easiest game I've ever been a part of. Up, 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 up. I'm just printing money. And then this is what Warren Buffett has said historically. Investors behave in very human ways, which is that they get excited during bull markets. And they look in the rearview mirror and they say, I made money last year. I'm going to make money this year. So this time I'll borrow. Or the neighbor says, I wasn't in last year when that neighbor who was dumber than I made a lot of money. Investing is a long game. I think some people can be successful as trading, but I think that's a much harder route to take. So I personally like to invest for the long haul. Dave Portnoy and day traders are playing checkers while Warren Buffett is playing chess. When the bubble bursts, they'll respect the Oracle. Maybe not. Problem with arrogance is a lot of these people will blame others, though they don't have the intelligence or the self-insight to look into themselves to see where exactly the problem is. Still, when you see articles like this, it's just a clear indication that we're nearing the top, in my opinion. But again, I'm just a random internet dude rambling on the internet as well. Pentagon documents reveal the US has planned for Bitcoin rebellion. Bitcoin has struggled to find support in the US government. Donald Trump and Mnuchin leading the criticism. Now it's been revealed that the US Department of Defense has war game scenarios involving a Generation Z rebellion that uses Bitcoin to undermine and invade the establishment. I think this is fantastic. I think Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is something we should be embracing, at least if we want to make a stand against the establishment. I think it's one of the easiest ways to passively resist the ongoing debacle that the puppeteers are leading us, or the shepherds are leading the sheep over to the great fleecing, as I've said before. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, I'm certainly investing in a little bit to increase my savings, or at least as a store of value to help maintain what savings I have as they print money like it's going out of fashion, which can only eventually lead to inflation to some degree at some point, you would think. In the Pentagon war game, young people born between the mid-1990s and early 2010s use cyber attacks to steal money and convert it to Bitcoin. Now, that might be something, but I think generally most Gen Z millennials are just using Bitcoin as a store of value to try and get themselves out of the political rat race that we find ourselves in, where we have a lack of leadership from the top down and people are just flooding, and people, I'm talking about the Treasury and the central banks especially, just flooding the market with money which is going to become devalued in short term. Now in the next 6 months to a year or so, maybe we'll see deflation, but after that I don't see how this ends well for all of us. In fact, I think we could be heading to a new reserve currency, maybe a special drawing rights from the IMF or from a basket of currencies, or perhaps we'll be building something on the blockchain. And of course, there's already talk of digital dollars and digital currencies for countries to pursue themselves based on a blockchain. You see that in China already. Bitcoin has increasingly been adopted by Wall Street and the world's biggest financial institution since its 2017 price explosion, but remains a tool to fight government control. Republican Representative Matt Gaetz called for the government to freeze the money of demonstrators after countrywide protests over the killing of George Floyd turned violent this month. Now tell me how this resonates with a free market, a democracy where you have the right to free speech. I think that's even the First Amendment. Americans can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the right to free speech? And now you want to freeze their money? That's a dictatorship, friends. That's going beyond friendly fascism to downright Orwellian, brown-suited fascism, if you ask me. And it's coming from a Republican. The Republicans, as I understand, Lincoln was a Republican, a man with some integrity and foresight, who wanted to abolish slavery. And now here we have the Republicans involved in Orwellian tactics. It's astonishing how things have changed. Anyway, I'm not going to get into politics, but I think certainly that cryptocurrencies, precious metals, that's where I'm putting my money and my savings in right now, because I trust nothing. I've lost trust in our leadership and our governments and our central banks especially, and their stewardship of our values as a culture. I think we need a great big overhaul of the system, frankly. It's turned against us, and I think folks are starting to see through the fog and smoke and the mirrors to see exactly what's going on and how we're being led to the great fleecing. Gold ends higher as global stocks sell off amid fears of a resurgence in US coronavirus cases. And the reason I bring this up is because these are the fictions, the tales, the mythologies, the stories we tell ourselves to try and figure out what's happening when we have no idea. Like, honestly, why did gold end higher? It could have been just because the market was heading lower yesterday, right? As you know, I think the markets tanked 5% or so yesterday, taking a bit of a breather. And so gold ends higher as global stocks sell off amid fears of a resurgence in US coronavirus cases. I think that's not it. I mean, hasn't everyone been saying that the stock market is forward thinking? In which case this should have been happening weeks ago, months ago, right? It's just ridiculous. So folks, you have to start thinking for yourself, figure out really where we're headed long term. I mean, the day-to-day meanderings of the stock market or the precious metal market or cryptocurrency market for that matter shouldn't bother you. I mean, really, there's no rhyme or reason to it, other than it's just part of the schizophrenic org hive mind of markets generally and their manic depressive ways. So I wouldn't worry about short-term moves. I think you've got to look at the long term, and long term I think silver and gold I think will do well in the coming 18 months to 2 years or more. because of the way we're devaluing our currencies and setting ourselves up for the greatest depression, in my opinion. Silver, I think, will do even better, as I've mentioned, and so that's where I'm putting my money right now. None of this is financial advice, right? I'm just an internet dude rambling about nonsense. This is a fun blog, one for the ages, Jesse Felder. One trend I've been following for a while now is the growing participation in the financial markets of the young individuals. Since most brokers went commission-free following in Robinhood's footsteps, the interest in trading has gone through the roof. This week feels like the narrative is reaching a crescendo. So here you can see total user positions at Robinhood was 16 million on February 19th, the SPX high, and it surged to 21 million on March the 3rd, the day of the low. You can see here how these accounts, the total number of positions held in all Robinhood accounts is increasing, right? Just as they're chasing up the increase in the bounce, the bear market bounce, as I'd like to call it. As Google search trends for call options and day tradings, it's off the charts. People are starting to think, they're using the stock market now as a gambling casino, because you can't go to get the casinos, at least not until very recently, I think. After putting in the fastest 10% decline from a new high, it then put in the fastest 20 and 30% decline. Since then, however, it has now put in the fastest recovery from a crash in history. So the whole market is topsy-turvy. The whole economy is all over the place. There's US excess liquidity around bear markets. You can see 2020 gone up like a rocket ship. Speculative fervor in US stocks surges to stunning levels. Look at that. This is the call buys, just excessively high. We haven't seen it this high in 2 decades. Combine massive money printing with mass speculation and record liquidity, and you get the fastest 50-day rise in the stock market on record, right? So liquidity is drying up, which means that the smart money, the big money, the hedge funds and that kind of thing are sort of sitting on the sidelines. And here's Dave Portnoy again, the dude who thinks he knows better than Warren Buffett. Here's some real truthiness from Mark Cuban. If you're a day trader and you can walk and chew gum, you're making money right now. And so what are you doing? You're doing the same thing they did in the late 90s. Everybody's a genius in a bull market, until they're not, that's for sure. And people are going into stocks that are actually bankrupt, that will go to zero. That's astonishing. I'm not sure they realize how these things work. A mania first carries out those that bet against it, and then those that bet with it. Very interesting. It's a good article. Shows you exactly how upside down this whole stock market, the whole economy is. Now let's look at the stock market. You can see it's up currently about half a percentage point. Took a breather yesterday, last couple of days, as you can see, and now it's starting to go up again. Will we see it hit all-time highs? I don't think so. At least certainly not this year, and probably not into next year. I think what's going to happen, folks, is that from now until perhaps November elections or so, we'll probably see more of a sideways movement. Things will probably head between 2,800 and maybe 3,300, probably 3,200. That might be the all-time high we make this year. This is just my opinion. I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, I'm allowed an opinion as much as anyone else who doesn't know what they're doing either. So what I'm hoping to do is to bring this down. I want to show you something here. If we go all, let's go all here. This is where I think if there's a just world, then I think this is where we're going to head to the S&P 500 by the time we're done. Just right around here, I think, at about the 1,500 or so level. I think we're going to be chopped in half. I mean, there's potential that we could even end up down around here at the all-time bottoms from the 2000 and 2009 lows. That would give us almost a 70%, 80% decrease, which I think is what we're well overdue for. You can see here what happened 1929 in that. So you had a top at about, let's call it 30, and then the bottom eventually at about 5, right? Lost more than 80%, I believe. So we could do that again, and that would be quite possible. Anyway, these are my thoughts. I'm staying away from the stock market except to short it for now, and then we'll see how things go. All right, here we go. So 3 reasons why Bitcoin price continues to reject at 10,000. Again, this is just somebody with mythologies and tales. They want to tell us about how to make sense of everything. And in fact, you can make no sense. It's just a hive mind mentality, and big crowds do unusual, weird things. But one of the reasons they think is that the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell stated the job market may have hit rock bottom. I call BS on that. We haven't seen the bottom yet, in my opinion. And then also 16 million in Bitcoin futures contracts were liquidated. I don't think that's the reason either. Bitcoin's multi-year resistance defended once again. I mean, we just try making sense of things that are nonsensical, really. Bitcoin is just up and down because it is. And to try and make sense of it, I think is just, it's comforting, but it doesn't really help. Let's see where these cryptocurrencies are at. So here we are. Let's have a look at the top 10 or so. So you can see they all took a dive off the cliff into a nice deep blue pool. And now they're starting to come back up again. I mean, this is what happens in markets. They're up and down, they're up and down, they're up and down. For me, I see this just only as a great selling opportunity. I hope that through the rest of the year, prices stay below 10 grand for Bitcoin and below 250 for Ether, below 20 cents for XRP. I really want to start loading up. I'm going to start focusing, I think, more on XRP because I think that one has a real potential to change lives down the road. I think I can see XRP becoming a $1,000 coin, frankly, with the amount of liquidity it could provide if it becomes the chosen one for financial markets. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? But, you know, I think I'm just going to put a little bit of money here, 10, 20, 100 bucks here, 100 bucks there. Maybe eventually by the end of the year, I can have a few dollars in these cryptocurrencies, and hopefully 5 to 10 years from now, that'll bring me 1,000 times return. That's what I'm hoping for. And maybe that's a big hit on the hoping pipe, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Time to ask the magic 8 ball to tell us really what's going on. Everyone else has their opinions. Might as well just ask the 8 ball, just to be as accurate as anything else, I'm sure. So the question I have is, will the S&P 500 make new all-time highs this year? Remember, I thought it won't. Let's see if the 8 ball agrees with me. Ask again later. So it's not sure at this stage. And, you know, honestly, why not? I mean, really, this whole world that we're in right now is topsy-turvy, hard to make sense of everything. So I think, folks, you know, I'm just going to focus on the long term, put my money where I think the greatest potential is right now. It's certainly not in the stock market. It's not in the bond market because bonds are giving you practically nothing. It's not in bank accounts because those are giving you practically nothing. Although, honestly, cash is a position, and it's a legitimate position during the unknowns and the anxious times we're in right now. But for me personally, it's precious metals, specifically a little bit of silver and a little bit of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, I like Ripple, and Stellar. Those are the ones that I like the most. But probably XRP and Bitcoin, Ether, those are the three I'll probably be focusing on mostly. Thanks for joining me on this rambling odyssey towards making sense of the senseless. Appreciate your comments down below and the conversation we're having, help each other out, making greater sense of things and how we can move forward to a better future for all of us. Take care, folks. And remember, dum spiro, spero.